Hello everyone, and welcome to a Hearthstone Rise of Shadows card review. I woke up today and found that the full spoiler is out for everything, so I thought I'd go through the cards class by class and just kind of give a quick take on what I think the card is. Do I think it's good? Do I think it's bad? What applications it might have in Constructed mostly, as we don't really play too much Arena. But yeah, just a quick overview. So without further ado, let's jump into things with the first card here, which is Blessing of the Ancients. It's a 3-mana spell. Give your minions +1/+1. It's the first spell here that has Twin Spell. This means that after the first time you cast this spell, you get another copy of it in your hand that you can use on that turn or a later turn, whenever. But that copy does not have Twin Spell. So we can use Blessing of Ancients on turn 3, buff our team by +1/+1, then use it again on turn 4, and buff everyone by +2/+2, or for 6 mana, 6 mana Savage Roar that gives you a bit of extra toughness and sticks around. And I really like this. I guess I'm a bit biased because I think Token Druid's one of my favorite archetypes, and this seems to perfectly fit within that. We've still got cards like Microtech Controller in the format as well, and Landscaping, both cards that give you quite a lot of minions, let you go wide, as it were. And I think that's kind of one of the themes of a lot of the Druid cards in this set as well. And Blessing of Ancients goes perfectly in that. I think that if there's aggressive decks to look at, Druid, a go wide tokeny Druid could definitely be one of them. We do lose Fungal Mancer and a couple of other key cards, but I think this one is good. On to the next one is Life Weaver. Whenever you 3 mana 2/5, whenever you restore health, add a random Druid spell to your hand. Obviously, that's about as good as healing effects are, and typically they're not so great. I mean, they either have to be a very good rate, like a greater healing potion in a control deck or something like that. I'll reserve judgment on this one. I want to see the other healing effects that are available. Next card is Crystalsong Portal. It's a 2-mana Druid spell. Discover a Druid minion. If your hand has no minions, keep all 3. So, I guess there's kind of 2 parts to this. 2-mana Discover a Druid minion can be quite good. I mean, it does say specifically a Druid minion, which means that you're not going to see a lot of the terrible neutral cards. You're not going to have like a million different 0, 1, 2, 3 drops, because there are quite a few neutral ones of those. And Druid minions do contain big boom booms like Cenarius, Ancient of War, these kinds of things. So that could be quite good. The other part, if your hand has no minions, keep all 3. I think that's generally going to be maybe not too big a deal. I think that most of the time when you get presented with 3 options for minions, there's going to be one that's probably the best choice or the right choice. The other 2 are probably just not going to be too great. So who knows? Maybe there's a Druid deck out there that wants to play pretty minion light, but also wants minions to slow the opponent down or something like that. Very interesting piece of card design, though. Up next is Crystalsong Stag, a 5-mana 4/4 with a Rush and Battlecry. If you've restored 5 health this game, summon a copy of this. Restoring 5 health, not too difficult. Conveniently, that's the amount of damage that a Crystallizer does to you. So already seeing kind of a potential synergy there. And if this Crystal Stag is turned on, that's pretty big. 5 mana for 8/8 worth of stats with Rush. That's tremendous. So if there's any way for us to get those healing effects, that 5 healing, without going too far out of our way, be that in deck design or in playing certain cards, then this could be fantastic. Not too sure if this would just be like a mid-range kind of big threat, or maybe it's like a control deck. This is kind of where you start turning the corner. Unsure. But regardless, yeah, if 5 health is easy to heal, we're in a good position. Next card, Forest Say. This is one of the first cards that was spoiled. 8 mana. Summon 5 2/2 Trents with Twin Spell. Trents. Pretty good, I think. 10/10 worth of stats is nothing to sneeze at for 8 mana. There have definitely been worse rates for those kind of stats before. And the fact that even if your opponent does respond, immediately Hellfires or has a Blast Wave or a Flame Strike or something like that, you still have another lot of 5 Treants to jump straight back into it. Obviously, you've got the Treant synergy as well. So I think this card could be quite good, but I guess we'll have to see what the kind of late game threats are amongst the different classes, and also just how aggressive the format is. You know, how many 8 mana spells can you be including in a deck? Up next, nothing. Great. Okay, fantastic. Okay, the next card here is Acorn Bearer. It's a 1 mana 2/1. Death Rattle, add 2 1/1 squirrels to your hand. I assume the squirrels cost 1. Obviously, 1 mana 2/1 is a more aggressive type of 1-drop. Recently, we've been seeing more 1/3s, Diamoles, Crystallizers, these types of things, and they kind of have shown us how good it is to have a resilient 1-drop, and just how it can punish a lot of these 2/1s and a lot of these 1/1s and things like that. But I think the fact that Acorn Bearer can get out and then give you those 2 1/1 squirrels, which gives you a lot of granularity. It's the term that we talk about quite a lot. It's basically your ability to spend all of your mana in one turn. You know, if you had 3 mana and you had a Mani Berserker, you know, and that was your best play, that's fine, but it's a lot better to play an Mani Berserker and spend that 1 extra mana, even if it's just to deploy a 1/1. So I think Acorn Bearer could be quite key in that aspect. A lot of these aggressive tokeny decks do want to make sure that they're spending all of their mana and deploying a whole bunch of threats. And very quickly, you know, with the Blessing of the Ancients we looked at before, those 1/1 squirrels could become 2/2s, 3/3s, and actually quite a big threat. Next up, Lucent Bark. Funky Monkey, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Lucent Bark here, one of the Druid legendaries, 8 mana 4/8 with Taunt. I like that. I like those stats. I think that's obviously we've seen Primordial Drake has been a difficult taunt to get through in the past. On Death Rattle though, it goes dormant, and restoring 5 health to ourselves, I believe, awakens this minion, which is really, really quite good. I mean, Sherazin, obviously there's some similarities to Sherazin, both of them do go dormant, but having something that goes dormant that also comes back as a taunt is tremendous. I mean, one of the disadvantages of Sherazin is you might kind of do a whole bunch of stuff to get it back into play, and then your opponent just slams a 3/3 into it, and it's gone again. You have to spin your wheels to do some stuff. And I think that especially in a defensive deck, in a controlling deck, against an aggressive deck, like it would be brutal if you restored 5 health and got a 4/8 taunt back. So absolutely love Lucent Bark. I think if there is a Druid control deck, I think Lucent Bark will be a pretty big part of it. Next card, Dreamway Guardians is a 2 mana spell. Summon 2 1/2 Dryads with Lifesteal. I'm not too keen on the Lifesteal, though obviously it does kind of synergize with a lot of these restoring life type effects that we've been seeing. I like that this is another go wide spell, and I like that it doesn't cost 3 like Microtech Controller and Landscaping that we talked about before. You know, if you imagine curving your Acorn Bearer into a Dreamway Guardians, into a Landscaping, into a Savage Roar, or any of these other Power of the Wild, any of these other buff effects, if your opponent doesn't have early interaction, that could be pretty brutal. And without decks like Odd Rogue in the format, without decks like Odd Paladin in the format, yeah, you might actually just get away with it. And the lifesteal could be pretty good in the aggressive mirrors, actually, especially if they get buffed up. So yeah, I like this. The stats of the minions are pretty bad, and I think that if we do see a lot of, say, 2 mana 2/3s or something like that, that it could punish the Dreamway Guardians, especially Mani Berserker. All right, what's next? We already took a look at this one. Crystal Power. So this is a 1 mana spell. It's a choose 1 spell, and it says deal 2 damage to a minion or restore 5 health. So we've seen a similar type of choose 1 like this before in what was it? The one that dealt 2 damage or summoned 2 1/1s. I think obviously that's a bit of a better spell than this. Summoning 2 1/1s is a great proactive thing to do. However, the fact that this is either early game removal or can trigger a lot of those restore life effects, which we've seen are quite powerful in the Crystal Stag and Lucent Bark. I think this is a pretty important card. It almost always seems like you want to have some form of early game removal. We saw just how strong the Druid Spellstone was. So I think this could fit into a lot of decks, especially ones looking to enable that healing. Up next, we have the other Druid legendary. It is Keeper Steladris. Sure. So 2 mana, 2/3. Excellent stats. And it says, after you cast a choose one spell, add copies of both choices to your hand. So if we imagine just with the Crystal Power that we were looking at before, if we do cast Crystal Power on its deal damage mode, we'll then get a copy of each of those things. So we'll get a copy of deal 2 damage and we'll get a copy of restore 5 life, which is it's actually quite good. I think that especially that Keeper Steladris is so cheap, it means that you can very easily, hold on to him for 5, 6, 7 mana, and then start pairing him with some bigger spells or many spells. If you, even on turn 4, if you do this, or turn 5, let's say. Turn 5, you drop Keeper Steladris, and then you play Crystal Power, and then you play Power of the Wild, and you get 4 cards in your hand. You've got a 3/2 minion, a buff, you've got deal damage, you've got healing, just a lot of options. And the fact that in against aggressive decks, you can just play them as a 2 mana, 2/3, start trading in. I think it's really flexible. I really like Keeper Steladris. Hope I open one. Hope I open a golden one. I want to get golden copies of those spells. Heck yeah. Excellent. I think that's all of the Druid cards. So, I'm going to cut this off here. We'll be back with some Hunter cards. So, keep an eye out for that. And if you want to check out any of the other videos, I'm sure they'll be in the sidebar somewhere. See you soon. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the Wave Pool for more excellent times.